things in your book about issues that retirees face. You talk about sequence of returns risk, the 60/40 portfolio, Medicare, Social Security, the fact that there's no more pensions. But I really want to hit on something that's affecting a lot of people today, Tom, which is inflation, right? It's run rampant here the last several years. And you always talk about this, that it's a big risk. When the last several years being top of mind for many people in retirement, how can retirees plan for this risk of inflation? And what are ways that they can prepare for this risk of inflation in their own retirement plan? Could you speak to that a
Yeah,
little bit for me?
sure. I mean, the reason inflation is such a big risk is that even if inflation is 4%, purchasing power is cut by more than 50% over 20 years. So if you're getting 40,000 in 20 years, that'll be worth 20,000 a year. And so you can't just have income in retirement. You've got to have increasing income in retirement. There's several ways to do it. So the way I did it, I own 13 annuities. I don't sell annuities. I don't care if people buy them, but the research shows you should have them. And I've got some that started at age 60, some that started at age 62, some that started at age 65, some that started at age 67, some that started at age 70, some that start whenever I want them to start. Okay. So I will have, and most of those, by the way, are in Roth IRAs. So that'll be
Yeah.
increasing tax-free income for the rest of my life. That's how I've chosen to do it. There's other ways. There are some annuities that go up every year by 2 or 3 or 4 or 5%. You can do it that way. If you don't like annuities, then you should at least cover your basic living expenses with guaranteed income. And then you can optimize the rest of your portfolio to protect yourself against inflation. So that's where real estate would fit. That's where stocks would fit. That's where, other things that typically will keep up with inflation.
Yeah, I love it, Tom. I think it's just something that a lot of people don't. Either we have do-it-yourself people or people who try to do, one product with this advisor and another product here. A lot of consumers in today's environment don't really think about that risk of 6, 10, 12% inflation for 2, 3 years in a row. And it can wreak havoc on portfolios when you have to do extra distributions to keep up with that cost of living. And I love that you say that, you do cost of living adjustments on those annuities, because that is a huge thing that we preach to our clients as well to do inside of their retirement plan, is to have that income ever increasing with the cost of inflation over retirement time. And I would say, Tom, it's in our area, it's very common for a lot of people just to have the 60/40 portfolio, right? I got a 60/40 portfolio. That's all I need. That's all I ever want. And I'm just going to do my distributions from that at retirement time. I mean, we saw 2022, we lived through 2022. And I think that's a great example for us to look at, is that 60/40 portfolio didn't perform so great in 2022. People still had to take money out to live on, and we had the inflation hit as well. So talk a little bit, Tom, about how you educate people, whether it's advisors or your client facing talks that you do. How do you educate people about the risk of a 60/40 portfolio, and what's maybe a better way to do it?
So it's interesting. In 2016, I wrote an article. You can find it on my website. And the article was titled "The 60/40 Portfolio is Dead, Long Live Life Insurance and Annuities." And all I said in that article is it makes no sense in the world, 0 cents, to put 40% of your money into bonds that at the time were paying 1%. Now,
Yeah.
we didn't know when interest rates were going to go up. We knew at some point they'd have to go up. And what happens to bonds is as interest rates go up, the value of bonds goes down. Well, as you remember, interest rates went from 1% to 5%, like literally within what, a year and a half,
Yeah.
and bonds plunged. And so bonds were down 22%. That's never happened before in the history of America. And if those people had instead had 40% of their portfolio into cash value life insurance or into some type of fixed income annuity, they would have weathered the storm just fine. And so I saw the train wreck coming. I educated as many people as I could. Dr. Wade Pfau, he's one of the smartest PhDs on the subject of retirement income, and he said retirees should never say the word stocks and bonds again. It should be stocks and annuities, because bonds didn't do what they were supposed to do. They're supposed to protect you, but when interest rates go up, the value of bonds is going to go down. And so, and Dr. Roger Ibbotson wrote a whole white paper. You can
Yeah.
Google it. Dr. Roger Ibbotson, fixed index annuities. He studied fixed indexed annuities versus bonds. And he found that fixed indexed annuities outperform bonds for the last 40 years and are likely to do so for the next 40 years. So I tell people the easiest way to get involved with an annuity is just replace your bond portfolio. It's going to do better than your bond portfolio. It's going to protect you from downside risk. And so that's my advice is listen to Dr. Wade Pfau and say stocks and annuities. too many people are trying to compare annuities to stocks. Annuities are really not a great comparison to stocks, but they're a great super comparison to bonds.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that, Tom. That's really what, since interest rates have hit these elevated levels inside of annuity contracts that we haven't seen for, since the late 2000s, what we've been doing a lot of planning with our clients is hey, we got the 60/40. We're taking you over from another advisor. Let's put your 60% in an all stock portfolio, right? We'll keep that diversified. US based is what we like to do. And then, exactly like you said, we like to siphon off that 40% and let's use something that's guaranteed, right? Let's give you a guaranteed rate of return from a fixed MIGA contract, let's say, or an indexed annuity contract. There's also riders that you can throw on those things for incomes. I love the fact that you can get guarantees out of annuities and you don't get those from bond portfolios, which a lot of people miss the boat on.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the annuity can guarantee you income you'll never outlive. You live to be 140. If they cure cancer, diabetes, heart disease, you're going to be getting that check every month. And with bonds would have probably run out long ago, especially when the bonds go back down to 1 or 2%, that you can't live off of that type of interest.
Correct. Annuities are an excellent tool. So I'm really glad that you said that, to siphon off part of the portfolio to put into a fixed contract with some guarantees on it. I love that idea as well. Tom, you've talked before in your books about some of the risk with Medicare and Social Security. Just this morning, I had a client planning meeting. The clients came in and they got that wonderful letter from Social Security about their Medicare costs rising because of income due to the IRMA penalties.
Yep.
So, Tom, what do you think is going to be happening with the Medicare Social Security system in regards to these IRMA costs that a lot of retirees are going to be facing over the next 10, 20 years?
Yeah. So, people are worried Social Security won't be there. I could literally fix Social Security in less than 15 minutes for the next 100 years. Okay. Social Security will be there. They're going to have to raise the retirement age on younger people. I mean, my dad got it when he was 65. I don't get it till I'm 67. My daughter probably shouldn't get it till she's 69. Her kid shouldn't get it because people are living longer. Okay.
Yep.
And then they're going to have to raise some taxes. Oh, wow. Instead of paying 6.2%, to Social Security, you might have to pay 8.1%. I mean, they're going to be small changes, but they're not going to, you won't hardly even notice them. The media will blow it out of proportion. Oh, they're throwing granny off the cliff, but it's a pretty easy fix for Social Security. Medicare, on the other hand, I have no idea who's going to fix that. That is way, way, way worse off than Social Security. And what they're actually doing with this IRMA penalty is, people say, well, these billionaires shouldn't get Social Security. Well, they did pay in. I think they should at least get the money that they put in out. But that being said, what they're doing is they're raising the Medicare premium on wealthier clients or who have income. And so like the average Medicare premium might be $188 for most people. At the high end, it's more like 584 or 602 or something. It's like 5 different levels. Most people don't know about it. But if you have income that's over, 60, 70, 80,000, you're going to find out about it real quick. And if you have income like at 400,000 or 500,000, you're going to be paying the max. And what I see happening is they're going to keep raising that IRMA penalty so that wealthy clients, all of their Social Security will eventually be paying for their Medicare. That's what I see.
Yep. And we've already seen that happen. There's been some people who have actually had to pay in to get Medicare, which is shocking. And that's why, Tom, so I'm in my mid 30s. My main clients that I work with are business owners, self-employed individuals. I preach to a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, even 50s that, hey, having tax-free income, just like you just talked about, Tom, with the Roths, providing you tax-free income at retirement time, and then taking advantage of life insurance, tax-free income as well. Those are two massive things that we need to be planning for in our younger years while we have time for those assets to grow in order to be planning for that IRMA penalty that we're going to get hit once we get on Medicare.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, planning, that's why in Don't Worry, Retire Happy, the number one step is you got to have a plan. Most people don't have a plan. They don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. And so that's why it's so important. I don't think retirement's a do-it-yourself project. There's just too many moving parts. I mean, I know this stuff inside and out, and I have a couple of financial advisors that I work with, and so because I don't follow all the latest products, and as you know, products change every 2 weeks. The interest rate changes, the crediting rate changes. I need somebody who's on top of all of that, but I don't know how somebody could do it by themselves. And if they are, I can promise you this, it's going to be a suboptimal plan. It won't be as good as what it could be.
No, that's exactly right. Because advisors, we live this stuff, we breathe this stuff. It's our day in and day out. And even if you do have somebody that does it themselves, Tom, you know they're missing the boat, whether it's from a tax planning standpoint, investment planning standpoint, or a product or protection standpoint.
Yeah, a risk. They forget about
Yeah,
long-term care, and
yeah.
that'll wipe them out. That's the one risk most people forget about that can wipe out their entire life's work.
Yep. No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Thanks for sharing that, Tom. Now I want to move on to, you talk about this a lot. Solutions to secure your retirement. That's what I want to talk to you about next, Tom. And a lot of people that I see in our area, I would say we live in a very conservative area. I'm in the Midwest, Nebraska. They really hesitate to spend their money, right? They save, and you talk about this in your book. They save, 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 don't spend. The kids get it, and then they go have the dream retirement. They buy the Corvette. You talk about it.
Yeah.
And I love that you talk about the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. So I want you to hit on that. But then I also want to talk to you about how you phrase the conversations to allow clients the luxury to spend their assets in retirement. So
Yeah.
could you hit on those two things for me, Tom?
So, when I was an advisor, I'd work with people and they had plenty of money. They were in their 60s and 70s. They had plenty of money, but they wouldn't even touch it. And I said, wait a minute now, you don't get to take any of this with you. You're supposed to go out and spend it, but they wouldn't touch it. They wouldn't touch it. They wouldn't touch it. And I said, look, you told me when you retired, you're going to join a country club. You're going to buy a new boat. You're going to go see the world. Have you done that yet? Oh no, there's so much risk. The market's so volatile. Bitcoin goes up and down, and they're just freaking out about. Oh, we're in two world wars. We're in two wars right now. I mean, they're freaking out about everything. And so they don't touch their money. They don't touch their money. They don't touch their money. Then they die. What happens to money? Goes to kids. What do the kids do with it? Oh, they join the country club. They buy a new boat. They go see the world. And what I tell people is, look, you're not supposed to leave your kids money. You're supposed to spend your money, spend all of it. Leave them life insurance because you can do that for pennies on the dollar. I'll just give you an example. We got 4 kids. So one day we're sitting around saying, how much should we leave the kids? My wife said, I don't know. What do you think? I said, well, if we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids the beneficiary, when we're both gone, they're going to get $1 million tax free. That's 250,000 a piece, plus whatever will be left over, and there'll be some stuff
Correct.
left over. I said, let's start there. So we bought a $1 million second life insurance policy, named the 4 kids beneficiary. That policy is totally paid up. Do you know what the total cost of that $1 million policy was? 150,000. So think about that. For 15 cents on the dollar, we now get to transfer $1 million tax free to our kids. But here's the best part: who gets to spend the other 850,000? We do. So
Yeah.
spend your money. And here's what I will tell you: having all those annuities, and I also have 4 pensions. I have a military pension. I got 3 pensions from other companies. The nice thing about that guaranteed income is it gives me the license to spend my money. The
Correct.
reason people don't spend their money in retirement is because they got this big lump sum, a 401k lump sum. Oh, what if I spend too much? What if I lose it? What if this happens? What if that happens? If you turn some of that into guaranteed lifetime income, it's a paycheck. And what did you do with your paycheck when you got it? Well, you spent it. All right. And now those guaranteed paychecks give you the license to spend your money. You don't get to take any of it with you. It's all going to stay down here. So you might as well go out and enjoy yourself and use life insurance to go to the kids and then spend all your money. But I know what you're talking about because I'm a saver. My wife's a spender. I'm a saver. I've saved 30 to 40% of my income my entire career. Okay. And the hardest thing for a saver to do is to become a spender. It's hard. But you know what? I've been able to do it because I got all these guaranteed paychecks. And if I don't spend it, they're just going to accumulate. I don't need them to accumulate. I don't need to save any more money. So I'm actually trying to spend those paychecks when they come in. We're doing things we've never done before. We're going on all kinds of cruises. We're having fun. We're in our go-go years, as you said. So there's 3 phases: the go-go years, the slow-go years,
Yep.
and the no-go years. The go-go years are when you're young in retirement. That's when you're playing golf, you're playing pickleball, you're going on cruises every day. It's happy hour. That's the slow-go years. And in that phase, the most important thing is income, not assets, income. Then you get into the slow go years. That's when you can still do everything in the go-go. You just don't want to anymore. In fact, you don't want to go downtown after 4:30 because dad can't see when it's dark out. That's the slow go years. And in those years, the most important thing is long-term care. And whether you buy a long-term care insurance policy or a life insurance policy with long-term care rider or an annuity that springs up with a bunch of income in your 70s and 80s, you've got to have a plan for long-term care. And then finally, the no-go years, that's when you're probably not leaving the building till you're leaving the building, if you know what I'm talking about.
Correct.
And in that phase, the most important thing is life insurance. And I just showed you how to use life insurance to go to the kids so that you can spend all your money.
Yeah, I love it, Tom. It's always when clients come in, we have to start earlier than later when we're doing this planning. So whether it's long-term care or life insurance that we're talking about, those are two very important protection aspects that we need in order to give clients a license to spend their money in retirement, to spend those paychecks and paychecks that they get, right? So
Right.
talk a little bit about, when do you think it's an appropriate age for clients to be looking at those things? And when would you start to have those planning conversations with clients so we can secure those insurance products before it's too late and pay that increased premium?
Well, I bought my long-term care insurance policy at age 42,
Hmm.
and it was very, very inexpensive. Even though some of the rates have gone up a little, it's still very inexpensive compared to what long-term care costs. So I'd say long-term care you get as soon as you can, because you can't buy long-term care insurance. You have to qualify for it. You
Correct.
qualify for it with your health. And today is probably the healthiest day of the rest of your life. So you've got to get long-term care insurance as soon as you can. It's cheap if you do that. Life insurance. I bought a $5 million whole life policy when I was 50. I wish I would have done that when I was 25. Now, I didn't have the premium dollars when I was 25, but it was a lot more at age 50 than it would have been at age 25. But
Yeah.
yet, at age 50, it's still a lot cheaper than if I waited till 75.
Yeah.
So, life insurance is one of those things you want to get early. Death claim in less than 2% of all the policies issued of term. And so it's there when you're young, it's there if you die early, but it's not going to be there if you're 70 years old. You're going to have to drop it. It's going to be too expensive. So you can't use term insurance for estate planning. You can't use term insurance
Right.
for most business insurance. You've got to have a permanent policy, and the younger you can get that, the better.
Yeah. I always say, in a perfect world, if price was never an issue, everybody would have a permanent policy.
Yeah. And
Everybody
and
would.
they would be, I'll tell you just a quick story. So I have that whole life policy. I put a lot of money in there. My annual premium was 226,000, just to put that in perspective. But
Yeah.
I have bought two houses in Arizona with borrowed money out of my policy, because down here, if you're not a cash buyer, you're not going to get the deal. Well, how many people have $1 million cash sitting around? It's hard to just grab that, but I had that in my policy, so I was able to take a loan, bought the house, paid back the loan, and then we did it twice. And so there's a lot of ways to use it smartly while you're still young.
Yeah. And it can be a source of tax-free lifetime income at retirement time too.
And I'm
Yes.
planning on flipping that switch any day now, and then that all comes tax free to me. And it's going to be, I tell people, if you want a lot of tax free income, you got to put a lot of money in the policy too.
Yeah.
Okay, your policy will grow, but you can't put in $100 a month and expect to take out 10,000 a month of retirement. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You got to put money in if you want to take money out.
Yeah. No, thanks for saying that. That is extremely true. You talk about in your books too about happiness in retirement. You notice the Freakonomics study. You referenced that. Talk a little bit more, if you would expand on it, Tom, about how those guaranteed paychecks that you get. You get that paycheck every single month,
Yep.
twice a month. How does that lead to increased happiness for retirees?
So I say there's really three reasons why you should have an annuity in your portfolio in retirement. Number one, as we talked about, adding an annuity improves portfolio performance. It's going to outperform the bonds in your portfolio. So it improves portfolio performance. Number two, you're likely to be happier. And number three, the research now shows you're likely to live longer. So let's talk about those two. The Wall Street Journal, you can Google this. It had the headline: "The secret to a happy retirement is friends, neighbors, and a fixed annuity." And what the Wall Street Journal found is that the happiest people in retirement were those who were surrounded by their friends, surrounded by their families, who had guaranteed paychecks coming in. Think of the teachers, the firefighters, the policemen who have the pensions. They're happy. They're going and just living their life. They're not worried about the markets and everything every day. And so when you have the guaranteed income, you tend to be happier. Time Magazine found the same thing in Great Britain. Lifetime income stream key to retirement happiness.
Yeah.
The American colleges found when people know how much income they have coming in every month, they know what kind of activities and housing they can afford, allowing them to choose the lifestyle that makes them the happiest. And so when you've got this guaranteed income coming in, it allows you to be happy. You don't have to worry about things. And now the research shows you're likely to live longer as well. So the Freakonomics report was actually a University of Chicago study. And the University of Chicago study people who had guaranteed income annuities versus people who didn't. And what they found is that the people who had the annuities lived longer than the people that didn't. And so the Freakonomics thing said research shows that people who buy annuities tend to live longer, and not just because they have the money to buy an annuity. It has to do with the monthly payout, and that They're just waiting for that next check, and just waiting for the check causes them to tend to live longer. I got another quote here. So, well, I'll try to pull it off my head. Patrick Tricker wrote an article in the Journal for Financial Service Professionals, and the title of the article was Annuities and Longevity Risk. I can't remember the name of the title now. I got it over here, but it's not mine. But what it did was it showed the average 65-year-old male who owns an annuity will tend to live 20% longer than the 65-year-old male who does not. And the whole rest of his article explained why people of guaranteed income tend to live longer. They're not worried. They don't have stress. And because they're being paid to live, guess what? Some of them choose to live differently. They watch what they eat. They exercise. They call the doctor when they're not feeling well. And all those little things cause them to tend to live 20% longer than people who don't have that guaranteed income. So I think the research is very clear. Your portfolio will do better. You're going to be happier, and you might just live longer.
Yeah, no, that was when we reference those studies, it's just wild for people when we tell them about it. Their eyes open up. It's a really cool thing to see. I think annuities have, I guess I would say in the past, I feel like they've got a lot worse rap than they do today. They're a lot more common today in our industry. But talk a little bit more, Tom, if you would, about how these lifetime income annuities work and why it's an essential tool from the aspect of that lifetime income and mortality credits, and how people can use that to an advantage to actually increase their income at retirement time.
Yeah, I want to read some quotes. I'm going to reach over here and grab this. Okay, so what I do is I base everything I do off of math and science. I don't base it off people's opinions. I don't base it off my opinions. What is the research showing? The research is clear that people should have annuities. The Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, here's what they say. Annuities, by pooling longevity risk and generating mortality credits, allow a higher level of income and insurance against premature exhaustion of assets than any other drawdown strategies. They also say lifetime income products are a cornerstone of retirement planning. You've got BlackRock. BlackRock doesn't sell any annuities at all. Okay, they have $9 trillion in the stock market. They have more money in the market than Fidelity. They have more money in the market than Vanguard. Here's what BlackRock says. Adding guaranteed lifetime income combined with a more aggressive asset allocation generates 29% more annual spending ability from one's retirement portfolio and reduces downside risk by 33%. That's BlackRock. You know, Ernst & Young, they don't sell any annuities. And, you know, they're a huge accounting firm. And what they did was they did a study. They wanted to find what would be the perfect retirement portfolio. And you can Google it. Google Ernst & Young life insurance annuities. And here's what they came up as the perfect retirement portfolio. 30% into cash value life insurance, 30% into income annuities, 40% into investments. And when I look at my portfolio, I'm almost right there. I probably am closer to 40% on the income annuities and maybe 35% and you know, whatever. But I'm real close to my portfolio. And that's Ernst & Young, top accounting for one of the top accounting firms in the world.
Yeah. And it's that risk mitigation that we talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People want to talk about upside return, but protecting yourself from the downside is just as important as getting upside return. And I guess people just don't understand it. They think the market always goes up, and it doesn't. We had an entire decade, just about a decade ago, where the market didn't do anything for 10 years. I guess people forget about these things. Japan, the stock market was down for 35 years.
Yeah.
35 years. What would that do to your retirement if the market went down for 35 years?
Not pretty.
Don't say it couldn't happen here. I mean, we're $34 trillion in debt, and that debt's climbing $1 trillion every 100 days. Totally unsustainable. Taxes are going to have to go up a lot. I mean, there's all kinds of issues out there.
Yeah. And Tom, when we're in this high interest rate environment, you know, advice for a 25-year-old is way different from a 55-year-old. And we've been encouraging a lot of clients today to say that, hey, these interest rates are high. We can lock in some great guarantees, some high payouts from these annuity contracts. Can you speak to maybe the interest rate environment and how that affects some of the annuity contracts that are commonly used?
I mean, these are the highest payout rates I've seen for 15 or 20 years.
Yeah.
I was just doing a meeting yesterday, and an 85-year-old in a SPIA, single premium immediate annuity, is guaranteed over 16% a year for the rest of their life. Even if they want to put a life guarantee, you know, life with cash refund, where even if they died the next day, their family gets their money, it's a 12.9% guaranteed payout rate. You know, a 75-year-old was over 9%. I think it's 10% on the life only and 9 point something on the life with cash refund. And so
Guarantees. Those are guarantees.
where can you get those guaranteed lifetime rates? I mean, go find it. But, Menachem Yari proved back in the 1960s that only a lifetime income annuity can optimize income over the indefinite period of a human life. You don't know how long you're going to live. I don't know how long I'm going to live, but the insurance company knows almost to the day how long 1,000 of us will live. So they can pay each and every one of us as though they knew exactly when they're going to die. Because they know on this day somebody's going to die. They just don't know which one of the 1,000 is going to be.
Correct.
But they know somebody's going to die. And so it's like a magical product. It's set up by actuaries. Actuaries study math and science. So you need to know that life insurance and annuities are based in math and science, and not just somebody whips something together. It's all based in math and science. And I think if people would really study, they would come to the same conclusion that top advisors come to, that all the experts have come to, is that annuities have to play a key role in a retirement portfolio.
Oh, they play a huge role. So we use the income for life model for our retirement planning, Tom. You're familiar with it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And what I love about that model is that we're able to figure out the needs, right? The income floor. And we're able to get that income floor from guaranteed income sources like Social Security, pensions if they have them, from annuities if they have them as well. And then we have the rest of the income portfolio filled by variable sources of income.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how pensions are less and less common now, and that how filling that pension with an income annuity is an excellent source of guaranteed retirement income that's secure for clients?
Yeah, I mean, even think back to your parents and your grandparents. Most of them had pensions, and they were pretty happy in retirement. They go play golf. They go on a couple trips every year. They didn't worry about the stock market. They didn't worry about real estate prices. They just lived their life, and that's what guaranteed income does. And so, if you don't have a pension, then you've got to basically buy yourself a pension, which is an income annuity. That's a pension. That's what it is. It's based off your life expectancy, and they'll tell you, you put in X number of dollars, you're going to get this check every month for the rest of your life. If you're married, you can do it on both your lives. So it'll pay as long as either one of you is alive. And so, there's the guaranteed lifetime income is so important because it improves portfolio performance. You're happier and you tend to live longer. Who'd be against those three things? That's why when I see these guys on TV bashing annuities, well, what they're trying to do is get you to pay them forever fees. I call them forever fees. They say, oh, the commission products are bad. A commission is a one-time deal paid by the insurance company. It doesn't come out of your money. Certainly the product is priced to pay a commission, but the money doesn't come out of your account. You put in 100,000, 100,000's in there. You go with one of these guys on TV, you put in 100,000, they start taking fees out right away, and that never stops. The market go down 50%. They're still taking out their fees. And so I don't understand how, these forever fees are somehow better than a commission paid by an insurance company. Somebody's got to explain that to me, because I certainly don't understand it.
Yeah, and annuities are the one thing that can give you that guarantee that no portfolio can, no investment management can guarantee you those payouts and guarantee you a performance like those annuities can. So, Tom, I love the fact that you shared about the life insurance, giving that to beneficiaries at the end, that it's tax-free. It gives you a license to spend your income. I also think long-term care planning, if you don't have that built into your retirement plan, you're just planning to fail right there. But Tom, I work with a lot of younger people too, 30s, 40s, 50s. Can you talk, if you were in today's advisor world, if you were an advisor working with these clients in their 30s, 40s, 50s, some of my basic advice is I always talk about Roth deferrals inside of 401k plans to max that out. I talk about triple tax benefit of HSA dollars and how we can use those tax-free at retirement time. And then I really hit a lot on IUL. We have a great IUL product at Mutual of Omaha that we really like to use for tax-free retirement income planning. And then I also like to use brokerage accounts. So that's how I do things for clients currently in their younger years. But Tom, I'd love your input. If you would say, what investment advice would you give, products advice? How would you say clients start investing assets in their 30s, 40s, 50s?
It's interesting. My latest book here, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? This I wrote for 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It shows people how simple it is in America today to become a millionaire. If there's anybody out there who doubts that they can become a millionaire, read that book. You could go to my YouTube channel, Tom Hegna, and I've got a bunch of, or even if you just Google Tom Hegna, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on YouTube, I'm on Fox Business almost every Saturday afternoon. Okay, so 4:30 to 5:30 Eastern, almost every Saturday afternoon. There's a show on, but they're all on YouTube as well. So if you just type Tom Hegna, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you'll be able to watch some of those episodes. I talk about the importance of Roth. If I was a young person, I would not put a penny into a 401k or IRA. Put it into Roth,
Thank you.
401k, Roth IRA. I talked about most Americans could be millionaires except for two simple things. Number one, they spend way too much money on their cars. And number two, they get divorced. So the moral of the story is drive a used car and stick with your first spouse. Now, I don't have to joke about the divorce thing. That'll wipe at least 50% of your money out. So that's really bad financially. It's a financial nuclear bomb. But people don't realize how damaging the cars that they're buying is killing their retirement. And I give an example in the book. I'm going to try to find it. And I use me as an example. I had a chance a couple years ago to buy a brand new Ford F-150 for $65,000. Or I could buy a 2-year-old one with 13,000 miles on it for $30,000. So that's a difference of 35,000, 2 years, 13,000 miles. Well, the pickup looked just brand new to me. I mean, it looked fine to me and it drove fine. So I bought the used one. Now, if I take that 35,000 and I invest it, it's going to grow depending on the interest rate. If I get 6%, it's going to be somewhere between $200,000 and $700,000 over 30, 40, 50 years. If I could get 8%, it's going to be between 400,000 and 1.8 million. That's one vehicle. I'm married with 4 kids. We probably had 16, 17, 20 vehicles. I don't know. But you start multiplying those numbers times 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have become wealthy simply by buying used cars instead of buying a new car and trading it in every 2 years. I watch people do the stupidest things with cars. They want to look wealthy. And what I tell people is stop trying to look wealthy. I never had that gene. And I drove nice cars. Nobody thought I was driving old beaters or anything. I was driving nice cars, but they were used. And I used my money wisely. And I would drive that same pickup for 8 or 10 years, and then I would sell it. Okay. And so that one thing alone could help most people become, they're driving their millionaire future down the road in their Tesla or whatever they want, a Lexus or whatever they want.
Yeah. I always say if your car payment's higher than the amount that you're saving for retirement, that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
And there was just numbers that came out last month that the majority of new auto leases have carryover debt on them, or auto loans have carryover debt on them. And that's just, cars are a depreciating asset, Tom. You're just throwing dollars out the window by doing that.
And that's the other thing. You don't want to put the majority of your money into depreciating assets.
Correct.
Cars, boats, jet skis, RVs, computers, iPhones, shoes, laptops, dresses, clothes. Those are all depreciating assets. Now, we all need some depreciating assets, but you don't want to put the majority of your money there.
Correct.
You want to put the majority of your money into things that go up over time. Those are appreciating assets. That's how you get wealthy.
That's exactly right, Tom. I always tell people toys, I'm talking boats, campers, RVs, motorcycles, pay cash for those toys. That's the basic advice that I usually give to a lot of people.
You don't want to take a loan on a depreciating asset because now you're paying more as it's going down and down. And down. That's a money loser. That's a wealth crusher.
That's a recipe for disaster. We've also done a lot of Roth conversions really these last 2 years. And we're looking to do a lot of client Roth conversions here in 24 and 25 because the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expiring. Do you think there's a break-even age on when we should stop considering Roth conversions for clients?
No, because I do the backdoor Roth conversion, so I can still do them. I got to do a non-deductible IRA, and then we convert that into a Roth. So I am still putting a little bit in there. And the reason I'm doing that, I don't really have to save money anymore. But if I am going to have some excess money, I want it to be in Roth so that it'll be tax-free to me and tax-free to my kids. So that's why I continue to put some money in the Roth. It's what, 7,500 last year, 8,000 this year. Not a lot of money, but it grows. I mean, it's amazing. I've only done that because I couldn't do a Roth for a while because I had too much qualified money. But as I converted that, now I'm back to where I can do Roths again without it being penalized because there's a ratio thing.
Correct.
And it's amazing how my Roth IRA has grown. And so we're going to use that money. We're going to take that on a big cruise one day, and we're just going to have fun with it.
Yeah, what I love about Roth IRAs, and I tell a lot of younger clients this too, is like you said, you can take out big lump sums at retirement time, and you don't have to worry about taxes on that money.
Right.
You don't have to worry about that increasing your Medicare cost. You don't have to worry about increasing you in a higher tax bracket. Roths.
If I need a new roof and it costs $40,000, I could take it on my Roth. That wouldn't affect my taxes at all. If I take that out of 401k, I got to take out like $65,000 just to get $40,000 for me because government's going to take 25 of it. That type of thing.
Yeah, I'm a big saver like you are, Tom. I love to save the majority of my income and watch the wealth grow in different assets that I'm saving inside of. But say for the average person out there, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, what is some target saving goals that some of these people should be looking at as far as percentages of
Well,
income?
here's the deal. If I talk to all these young people and I said, you think you're going to be a millionaire? 90% of them would say, no, I don't think I'm going to be a millionaire. And you know what? They're right. And 10% would say, by golly, yes, I am going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be multi-millionaire. And you know what? They're right too. Because what I've learned is that to achieve something, you have to believe it's possible. But to believe it's possible, you have to see it in paper. And so what I did as a financial advisor, this was 35 years ago, I go to my kid's ball game or, we'd be at a party or something, say, Tom, what do you do? I say, I help people become millionaires. You tell me how many million you want. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to get it. Now, 35 years ago, I couldn't illustrate mutual funds. ETFs did not even exist.
Yep.
I couldn't, there's one product I could illustrate, and that was life insurance, whole life insurance. So I would solve for $1 million of cash value at that person's age 65. And for example, a 25-year-old female would be like $7,700 a year. And if she did that every year, by the time she's 65, she'll be a millionaire. Now, I'm not saying people should put all their money in life insurance, but what it did was she could see it, that she could do it. Okay. Now 7,700 on a 25-year-old girl, that's pretty tough to do. But then I would take her over to a time value of money calculator and I'd show you, look, if you could get 6% a year, you only have to put away $500 a month. If you get 9% a year, you only have to put away $250 a month. If you could get 12% a year, you only have to put away $100 a month. Well, all of a sudden, I could do that. I could do that. I might even be able to do that. It gets them started. And when they see that if they focus on this monthly thing and they keep it going, they can become wealthy. Then I've had people say, well, Tom, $1 million isn't going to be anything for them. I don't disagree, but I'll tell you this, the first million's the hardest. The second and third and fourth come a little quicker because now you got your money working for you instead of you working for your money. The first million, you got to work for your money. The second and third million, you can have your money working for you. And so, these are just simple. The reason I wrote the book was because I got 4 kids. And these are the things I've taught my kids on how to build wealth. And they're all doing very well.
Yeah. The younger you start, the easier it is. Let it compound as soon as you can.
Time is the one thing that young people have on their side. Time.
Correct.
It will solve a lot of problems.
Yeah. And like you said, Tom, too, the other thing, I'm sure you saw that Northwestern Mutual study about income or assets that's needed for retirement that just came out here last month. And you see the younger generations are assuming they just need over $1 million for retirement. And for younger people, I coach them a lot is, $1 million may sound like a lot now, but in 30 years, like you just said, Tom, it might not be a lot. So for younger people, I try to coach them on percentage savings, right? Let's try to get to 20 to 25% of your gross income in savings. Don't snap your fingers and do it all at once, but that's a target that we work to, because $1 million sounds like a lot today, but 30 years with this inflation that we've had, Tom, it's not going to be a lot 30 years from now.
If somebody can get a habit of saving 20% or 25%, they're going to do fine. They're going to do very well. It's just that our culture is such that when you start making more money, you want a bigger house, you want a fancier car, you want to go to Sandoz instead of the Holiday Inn, and so it's this lifestyle creep. Creep quashes a lot of wealth building.
Yep. And for a lot of business owners, some basic advice that I give too, in our household, what we do, Tom, is we have a household budget that we stick to. So every 2 weeks from my business accounts, I get a paycheck to our personal accounts. And then that's what we base our lifestyle on. So as the business grows, my lifestyle stays here, and it allows me a lot of freedom and flexibility to save for future plans that we have. And I just think that's some great advice that business owners can utilize too, is to, just like at retirement time, give yourself a paycheck so you have a lifestyle that you can keep up, and you don't have to worry about taking my 10% raise every year and buying something else to fill up your paycheck.
No, I agree.
So Tom, I'm going to link your websites. I'm going to link your YouTube inside of this links as well. But do you have any closing thoughts? Thanks again so much for your time today. This has been extremely helpful. And I would say, Tom, your material is not only beneficial for advisors, but for consumers as well, for clients as well.
Yeah, I mean, people say that knowledge is power, and that's not true. Applied knowledge is power. And so if people don't do anything with the things that we discussed today, it won't do any good for them. So that's why I think it's so important to have a plan and to meet with a financial professional like yourself, because I just don't think retirement is a do-it-yourself project. I know probably about as much about retirement as almost anybody in the country, and I use financial advisors too. Okay, so I could do it myself, but I wouldn't do it optimally by myself. I would probably get pretty close, but by using a financial advisor, I know I'm going to get the right product at the right time from the right company.
No, I love that, Tom. And what I like too about using an advisor is, say there is one spouse like yourself that does everything, knows everything. Well, what happens if Tom's gone?
Right.
Right? Your wife might not have interest in that, and then what? You
Yep.
know?
No, you see that all the time.
Yep.
It happens all the time. And sometimes it's the wife who knows where everything is, sometimes it's the husband that knows, but they both, and that's where the advisor could step in and say, look, I know where everything is. Just
Yep.
relax. We're going to get this step by step and we'll get it taken care of. That's an excellent point. Yeah.
Tom, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate this. You've helped a lot of people out over the years, and I know this episode is going to help a ton of people out with their retirement planning needs as well. So thank you again for your time. It's really appreciated.
Thanks, Adam.
Take care. You have a great day, Tom.
You too.